I hope the lighting's okay here because I'm in the corner of the room and the light's way back there. And this little lamp I use for when I type.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is your typing chair.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Yeah, it comes out to that.
well, hey, everybody who's joining us. I'm Josef, Marc, the CEO of Publica. And my guest today is Warren Brown. And we'll put a link to his website down below, but it's warren-brown.com. And Warren is an author, a movie maker, a vlogger, a publishing consultant, a life coach, an award-winning poet, and an internet marketer. And I thought, yes, I want to start with him because this is what people really want to understand. And because Warren is part of Publica's first wave of book ICOs, and he's also a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors.
Yeah.
And so are we. And Warren has 16 books on Amazon going way back to paperbacks in 2010. But he was writing on the web as far back as 1993. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But Warren, a lot of people know you already. So can you just first talk about your new book, Silicon Blue? Because that's many people probably want to know about that right now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's a great opportunity here to be able to speak to you and tell people about my work and the book which I'm writing at present. And I did three quick short stories on cryptocurrency, which I released yesterday.
Right, yeah.
Yesterday. But Silicon Blue is an idea I thought about a lot because it's about modern gaming. People love to game, youngsters, everyone's into gaming. And with Silicon Blue, it's a type of program where people get into the game, you earn your cryptocurrency playing the game. But then there's another aspect to the game. People get it too involved with the game because it creates a mindset which may not be very positive sometimes. All games are usually, there's a balance between negative and positive. So this Silicon Blue game somehow tends to program people sometimes in a negative way. It's the way they react to the game. And Silicon Blue is about that sort of idea. It's the basis. The plot is going to be based on that idea. The gaming process, the mental conditioning, mental programming, and the effects of the game on people who play the game. And we see that it takes an adverse turn in between. And then it gradually unfolds the whole plot, the storyline.
Well, anyone who's familiar with gaming or knows someone who likes to game will have observed that games are immersive, and that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
Until it's not, I guess.
Yeah. It's immersive gaming is fantastic. Now, I've also gone so far in my other book to talk about immersive writing and publishing. That's another story. But I'll tell you about it a little later. But for now, Silicon Blue is what I'll be working on, concentrating on. It could be a novella, and if I get carried away, it could turn into a novel. So let's see how it goes. Yeah,
a little immersive discovery process for you too, then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I usually start with a little plot, an idea, and then it gradually evolves. And sometimes I come back to it after a week or month, and I find I get back into a set pattern, and then I try to break the pattern, get new ideas, do a bit of brainstorming, and before I know it, it gradually unfolds. The whole storyline unfolds for me. And it takes on its own life, so to say.
So when you're writing, right, there's you in the page, right, you and the characters. Are you also thinking about the audience, like what kind of audience this would be for, or is that not a concern yet?
No, it is focused on the audience as well. Yeah, I need to focus it on the audience as well. But then sometimes the audience, you have to make them realize that it's for them, because it's not very obvious sometimes whether a storyline would appeal to them. So I sometimes change titles, book titles, to make it more suitable for the audience. They can relate to it, and or build awareness of the story which I'm publishing. So I do that on my blog posts usually.
Okay. Well, I know that your book is going to be interesting to me because you said there's cryptocurrency in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by that idea because when I first encountered cryptocurrency, first thing I thought of was, oh, I remember Dungeons and Dragons way back when it was, on a floppy disk, a big floppy disk. And
big one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the tokens in the game were an important part of the game.
Yeah.
And now here, coincidentally, I paid my taxes today, and I only received cryptocurrency, right? And that's all I have for a couple of years, and it was no problem. Just my accountant said, "Okay, great." Click, click, click. There it goes.
Yeah.
So it's become real.
Oh, it's become real. Oh, that's marvelous, marvelous. Because cryptocurrency. Because I think it was 2-3 years ago they had websites, Bitcoin websites, where you play a game, you view a video, you earn few Bitcoins. Means a pathetic amount of Bitcoins just for us, and you just earn 10 Bitcoins. You don't even earn 10 Bitcoins. You just earn 0.001 Bitcoins, and you've sat for like 2 hours hoping to get a ton full of Bitcoins, but it never happens.
Well, Publica recently started putting out a weekly video series called Crypto Currently, and I'm really just sort of a consulting script helper. But one of the stories fascinated me was that there's video games out now where they put actual Bitcoin in the game.
Oh, brilliant! Okay.
Yeah. So that's just getting started.
Okay.
And so this is all becoming quite real. And so now the audience for your books is the people who already like what you write. And we're going to talk more about the things that you write because it's a pretty wide range.
Yeah. I try to make it right. I like variety, and I like a bit of spice and interest. Keep me interested. Means I have to be interested to start going on, to keep on writing. Because if I lose interest, the idea is gone.
Yeah. So, in one of your articles, I don't even know if you remember this, but you said something that I thought was great. So I want to read it from my notes. A humor-free zone is like a dry desert with a waterfall close by, which no one will drink from because it seems too real to be true.
Yeah.
Do you remember writing that?
Yeah, that must be from Humor Ninja.
Okay.
I think that's from, it was something I wrote years ago. Was it about, did Steven Seagal come into it? Or was that another article?
Well, it was in the same series, but I don't think it was in that article.
Yeah, it was the same series, That was about 10 years ago, maybe.
But, so your humor-free zone, it was in reference to offices where people don't laugh or courtrooms where laughing is actually a really bad idea.
Yeah.
So what is the role of humor in your books? Because you don't write joke books.
No, I don't write joke books. I try not to make it too light because I have a tendency sometimes to get carried away with humor. So I try to control. I try to control myself. Like I love Chaplin. He's brilliant. Then I like Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy. Brilliant. They're making a new movie about them. I just saw the trailer today on YouTube. Yeah. So I love that, and I love wit, humor, banter. It's fantastic. Sometimes I tend to be a bit sarcastic because humor sometimes takes a wild turn. Sometimes some topics I handle a bit with a little more sarcasm than I should. So I try to restrain myself from overdoing the humor because sometimes you just let go and then you don't realize that maybe it's gone a bit too far, your humor. So you have to control your humor as well. But it's necessary.
Well, so as a writer, and the comedians you mentioned reminded me of, there's a great podcast called 3 Books. And it's pretty new. It's a fantastic idea where this podcaster actually goes to the home or the office of a writer and then talks about their the books that had the most influence on them. And he went to Dave Barry's house. And Dave Barry's a legendary, because he wrote a humor column in the newspaper.
Okay.
Right? And so in the US, that's how many of us discovered humor in written form, right? Not a comic or something, just text.
Yeah.
And he said that, Dave Barry said that the hardest part is that when you're writing text, when you tell the punchline, stop telling the joke. Right? Just stop.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what some good humorists use. They hold back the punchline and wait and wait. It's all about timing. You have to wait till you have it at the right moment when the audience is ready to get the punchline. It's about waiting as well, and timing.
Which a comedian can do, right, in video, film, stage, and so on. But in a book, the reader does their own timing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well. So you have to guide them through it, build up momentum and interest, take them to the edge of their seat, and then deliver the final punch, so to say.
Yeah. So writing really is a craft.
Yeah, I did write humorous stuff in a collection of 75 poems that I had done.
Okay.
Maybe about 8 years ago. And there were limericks and stuff like that kind, which I had written. And so that's in a big collection. I also did London Historical, the history of London in poetry form. So that went through stages. And then I did a metaphysical sort of poem. I just let myself go and just thought of like images, symbols, and you bring it all together in words, in thoughts. And it was a fantastic blend. I got a good review for that poem. So that's what I'm saying. It's a fantastic. I'm not praising myself. But no, that was fun. And it must be fun. Poetry is fun. So I find poetry fun. Blank verse, couplets, it's a way to relax as well. And it's so concise. And that's the brilliance of poetry. It's an art form where you can compress a whole idea in just a few lines. And that I started as a poet, actually. I was 17. That was my first crush, started me writing poetry. So that was the first one was The Lady of the Sea. Upturned brows and eyes deep green, partly adorned by shiny scales. A lady who is often seen by any man who ocean sails. He saw her perched upon a rock, but when he did silently creep, he caught a glimpse of golden locks as she dived smoothly into the deep. Mermaids are part of fantasy, later found to be only seals. Still the legend lives out at sea about a mysterious damsels. That was years ago. I wrote it years ago. So that was my first poem when I was 17.
Wow, and there we got it. We got it on video.
That was long ago, but I still remember it.
So let's talk about the range of your work. I believe some of your early work was about e-commerce.
Yes, internet marketing. And I started as an affiliate marketer for brands, other people's stuff, trying to sell it. But then I thought about creating my own little products. And I said, why don't I write a book? A book is a product. A book is something which is an item that can be sold, which is an item that can be marketed, publicized. So a book is a product. So why create one, create a dozen, create more than a dozen? The more you can create, better for you. You just need a good market, basically. So that was my first interest. And since I enjoy cooking, so I wrote 2 books of recipes. My mom was a great cook, amazing cook. Mom passed away about now 10 years, possibly, So many of my books you'll see are either dedicated to my parents, mom and dad, Melvin and Joan Brown, or to my wife, Paula. My wife, Paula, I dedicate, so I choose now, mom and dad or my wife, mom and dad or my wife. So I decide accordingly.
Well, so I'm going to come back to your other books because I do have some more questions about those. But what did mom and dad and your wife, Paula, think about when you first mentioned the word cryptocurrency in the house?
Oh, yeah. They were a bit puzzled what it all meant. Because not everyone is actually very familiar with it. It means
no, not even
close. Over there. It's some things no one can see. It's not physical. I mean, is it a waste of time? There's no real form of cryptocurrency. You can't see it, but it's real. We know it's real. It's like electricity, something you can't see. But they say it's secure, But I had a number of wallets I created when I did these little gaming sites, joined these game sites and video sites. I think I lost the wallets. I've lost whatever little I gained on it. So I'm not even very sure about cryptocurrency. The authenticity of cryptocurrency means I have to be a believer, and I'm not yet fully converted because everyone doesn't really believe in it. Like, you don't get banks yet over here using cryptocurrency, though it's traded. Banks still can buy cryptocurrency. You can buy it in a bank. I think they have ways of buying, like you buy stocks and shares. You can buy.
Of course. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. I paid my taxes today, and that's pretty real.
Yeah, you told me about it. Yeah, but
but yeah, everything you just said, I was thinking, I heard those same things.
Yeah.
In the internet beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
All the same things you said.
Yeah.
People said then, which is, I don't know if this is real or not. You know, you can't really see it. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
And
exactly. Yeah.
It wasn't until Netscape, the browser, made a computer screen look like a piece of paper. That was the magic.
Okay.
Right? It's the internet was already there. People were using it. Lots of us were, but it looked like paper. And then suddenly people started to go, oh, I know what paper is.
Yeah.
Right? And so it started there. So, don't worry about mass adoption just yet. The internet wasn't mass adopted the first day either.
True, very true.
But we're hearing these things. We're in that transition from where it's as real as me paying my taxes, and as mysterious to some as, well, there's a paper book on your desk. I understand that.
Yeah.
So at Publica, we're trying to make that connection as tangible as possible, right? Because buying your book in your book ICO, that's putting your toe into the water, and what's the worst that can happen? You get a book.
That's true. Right? Yeah. You get a physical product, sort of. Yeah, you get a physical product.
So it makes the book token, the cryptocurrency that was involved, suddenly there it is on your tablet. It's a book. It's like, now it's real.
Yeah. I think it's a question of the mind getting adjusted getting into that mind frame of what is real and what is not. Okay, you can't see cryptocurrency, but it's a real thing, and I think that's what many of us don't realize. It is real. It is real. It's not something that will disappear.
My accountant was not phased at all, right? He already had cryptocurrency exchange programmed into his computer, and a little pop-up. He's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
But I remember Dungeons and Dragons, the game.
Yeah, that's true.
The first text that I saw across the internet a long time ago in a basement at UC Berkeley, that was paid for by the military.
Okay.
I saw someone typing, and the computer answered, and it was the Dungeons and Dragons game.
Okay.
And I said, oh, that's great. I have that game. And he said, yeah, but I'm not playing against a computer. I'm playing against a guy in Chicago.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And as I thought that through, I actually sat down on the floor and cried, because that's what it can feel like to make that from, oh, this is like real, right? This isn't theory anymore. This just happened. Yeah. And so Dungeons and Dragons, was you could play it on paper before. But there, my brain had to wrap around, okay, but now it just happened across the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With a guy in Chicago from Berkeley. And today, that seems, you and I are talking from Florida to London. We don't think anything of it.
Yeah. So in fact, I told my dad I'd be having an interview today. So he said, Warren, will there be a recording? I said, yes, of course, Dad, there'll be a recording. I'll definitely, will we get a copy? Because he was interviewed on television, and then about 10 years ago or 8 years ago, because we are Anglo-Indians, we are mixed race. So there's a British-Indian mix. So Dad is a leader in the community in India for Anglo-Indians. And so he was interviewed about the community, and they went from the BBC down there to India. And we had an actor who was also Anglo-Indian who met him, and then they recorded a whole episode. So he said, will they give you a DVD of it? I said, no, Dad, you don't get DVDs of it. It'll be on the web. I'll give you the link for it. You can view it later. So, and Dad makes his notes. He still writes notes. I told him I don't write notes anymore. I just type it on with my computer. But he's like old school still. But he stepped
Yeah.
into the digital age. But he still, no, I prefer writing my notes, making all my notes, and then putting it onto the computer.
Well, that preference is great. You know, I'm also old enough to have worked in the digital media revolution, and you know, from when television was analog and it was very centralized because it had to be, and radio.
Yeah.
And then I was part of the team that made multi-channel digital television for the first time, like 500 channels, and that decentralized television. Now suddenly digital television happened everywhere, and that decentralization, you might argue, nobody needs 500 channels of TV. Well, you do if the channel you want is one of those other ones, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And so we're that's happening again, you know, with cryptocurrency.
We're like at the crossroads of the next step forward in science, advancement of science. With the next step at the crossroads, literally. This book, Imposter Assassin, is about. I usually base my books on an issue that concerns me, something that I feel the world needs to know about, something that I feel is standing back and hasn't moved forward in time and needs to move forward. So Imposter Assassin is basically a story about a man who's into independent publishing, but he has this multinational corporation which has the world in the palm of its hands. I call it Swamp. Now, Swamp is connected to everything. Your whole life is ruled by Swamp. People work for Swamp. But
swarm, like a swarm of birds,
like a mangrove swamp.
Oh, swamp. Thank you.
Swamp. Yes. So they control civilization, Swamp, literally, and publishing. So this man has a dream to to let independent writers and publishers publish their work independently without fear. And he has the instant bestseller program, which is an impossibility, but in the book it's possible. His girlfriend and his wife later devised a formula to make an instant bestseller and $1 million bestseller, and you just put it all into the program in your computer, and before you know it, your manuscript will get all the features necessary for a bestseller to have, and then you get your bestseller. And now to control the bestseller list, they have a book market, like how you have the stock market. So this is a stock market for books, where every book is on that stock market. And it rises and falls with readers, reviewers. So the idea of a book stock market, which reflects on your bestseller, it's all connected. So it's actually a big plot, which I devised for independent publishing 50 years from now, and what it would look like. It would look
it's not going to be 50 years. When did you write that book?
I wrote it about last year.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but in Publica's roadmap, and it's well along the way, is the secondary book token exchange.
Okay.
Because book tokens, right? That's what your buyers get when they buy your book, or buy into your book ICO. They get a book token in their wallet, and the token is then theirs forever.
Ownership.
And you can buy multiple tokens and put them in the same wallet if you want.
Yeah.
And that means that there can be a secondary market in books.
A secondary market, yeah. So that's
not 50 years from now, but like soon.
Yeah, and that's like selling a book. That's selling a book, marketing. And then for publishing, there are more ideas I have here about publishing in the sense of immersive publishing, in the sense of everyone can be a publisher and independent publisher. So if you have a team trekking, doing a live trek across the Sahara, they are publishing a book as soon as their trek is happening, a live publishing feed, sort of, and the book is coming out. Every day a book is released, and it's basically audio, video capture onto text publication program.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get the idea? Like it's
I do, but
the
you know what
experience
what
is
it
captured in a book.
yeah, yeah. So the immersive experience
Yeah,
is captured in a book, just like you
in the
said.
book.
That's the best way to put
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And that reminds me of Eric Hellman. Years ago, he's founder of ebooksfoundation.org and a really helpful advocate for libraries
okay,
and so on.
yeah,
Years ago, when he announced he was starting that project, the web was there, and you were writing on the internet.
yeah,
Um, but he made this excellent case for what's different about a book,
okay,
right? It doesn't have the live feeds in it,
yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah, yeah,
So when you
that's it.
say this
Yeah,
is it, this is
yeah,
it, right?
yeah, exactly.
It can
Like it
have
all
all the
ends
other
on the paper.
features.
Yeah, it all ends over here. And
Yeah,
if it's on the web, there are links to 100 different things. But the immersive book that captures the whole experience as a person's
that's
going through it,
sealed. That's
that
a thing.
feel, yeah, yeah. And that's where publishing needs to go next, I would feel, to
Great.
capture the whole essence of what's happening. That whole life experience that's being produced on paper is also being enhanced with a more immersive feel. I
Wow.
think we need a lot more science into that.
Oh, I think the technical part isn't that going to be that difficult. Of course, I'm comfortable with digital media and data in general, but I think the mental part is probably the most important one. Is people to understand. So, what is that book exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
What have you made for me? Right.
Yeah.
So, when did you first meet crypto?
Oh, I met cryptocurrency about 5 years ago, possibly. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
5 years, because that's when those little sites came up, Moonbit and Bitcoin sites, you earn Bitcoin. So I got into that. And then there were a few articles in the news about people who made hundreds. He bought Bitcoins years ago and then he turned it into it was valued at a fortune later. So I heard about it about 5 years ago, possibly.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of the early news was about people trying to use it as a currency or a speculation vehicle or whatever. And so that's true. But so now you've got cryptocurrency occurring in your books. So it's sort of settled in far enough into your creative process that you could weave it into a story, right?
Yeah, yeah, I tried that. Yeah, I wrote 3 short stories, which actually all connected, and I published it last night. And they are about creating a currency that would, because there's so many types. You have Litecoin, you've got Bitcoin, you've got several types of coins in Bitcoin currency. And then this moves towards getting one coin for all, like one coin for everyone to use, which would work independently and which would be more adaptable to everyone. A universal coin, sort of a universal currency.
Then you might like what my tax accountant said about it today.
Yeah.
Because this is, he's a tax accountant. This is his job. Yeah, exactly. And he said, to me, it's another foreign currency, right? Because we're filing taxes in the US. Yeah. And it behaves exactly like all the other foreign currencies, except you can have this one anywhere. It doesn't matter which foreign place you're in. So that's the only difference.
Yeah, it's more flexible.
So he said, so some people talk about maybe crypto, there'll be just one cryptocurrency. And he said, I don't see why. We have lots of currencies now. They all come out of computers. Yeah. So why would there be just one? Anyway, that's a tax accountant's view. And I think it's more interesting that it gives you creative ideas for stories. Yeah. It's a good starter point because it's a dry subject otherwise. How can you make a story about currency? I mean, it's very dry. Yeah, that's a challenge. I could make a story about bullion, gold bullion, pirates on the Spanish Main going after gold bullion at the bottom of the Spanish Main. I can make a story about that, but not about cryptocurrency. Yeah. So it's like that. Yeah. So I have two more questions.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this too long, although I'm certainly enjoying it. One of them is on your website, warren-brown.com.
Yeah.
Even though you've got 16, maybe now 17 books out, only 4 or 5 are actually on your website. And the Publica logo is there, right? So people can click there and go straight to your book. I see that. But why only 4 or 5? As an internet marketer, help us out with that.
Oh, why haven't I put all? Because I didn't want to overcrowd it and confuse people. Because I've got, I publish on Draft to Digital. I publish on Smashwords. Means wherever there's a publishing site which is publishing, I try to go there to publish my work. On Amazon, on Lulu. In fact, I first started on lulu.com, independent publishing. So that was brilliant. They've served me well over the years. And after
they were
that,
one of the first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And 2010, I started in 2008, but really published a book and in 2010. And then I went on to Smashwords. And so I like keeping it open. I didn't want to crowd my site, feeling that it would be too much for people to handle, because people usually, web visitors don't stay very long on a site. So you have to really get them at the first page. Otherwise you lose them.
Yeah, you don't want to say, come in and look at all my stuff. You want to say, I think this is interesting for you.
It's also a question of saying, oh, I've got all these books which I've written. I mean, I don't want to blow my own trumpet. I've got all these books which I've written. See them. So I want to put the best ones, and then I'll change it and put the next set. So keeping it fresh, so to say, fresh and sticky. They say that's a term they use for websites where people keep coming back because it's a sticky website. It lets you interact with what's there and keeps the interest of your web visitors. So that's important as well.
It's a beautiful website, by the way.
Thank you.
I'll ask our editors to put some images of it there. I don't want to mess up my computer here, but
Thank you.
Because it is a beautiful website, but the Alliance of Independent Authors also kind of recommends what you were talking about, publish wherever you can.
Yeah.
They call that publishing wide.
Yeah,
right?
publishing wide. Yeah.
And which is a great thing about the internet. That you can do that.
The freedom, because you own it all. It's all yours, so you can do with it what you will, so to say. And restricting is not really helpful, restricting it to one site, because I tried sticking to Amazon KDP and making it exclusive, but it was going nowhere. So I said, there's no point being too faithful. You've got to stand up for your work. After all, it's your work. You're not publicizing anyone else's work or publishing anyone else's work. It's your work, your property. You've got to take it as far as you can. So I said, I'm going to take it as far as I can.
I just want to tell the people watching this video, I have never met Warren before.
No, we never met before. Never.
So, Warren, in my blog, if you ever go back to read it, you're going to find one called Where's Your Store?
Okay.
Where I talk about, it's not Publica's store, it's your store.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, Amazon, it is their store.
It is, yeah.
Right? So what we're trying to do to help you is, we totally agree with you. It's your book, it's your store.
Yeah.
And so that's the shift that we're trying to ride that with you.
Okay.
Because it is your store and should be your store.
Yeah, thanks.
Right? It's your product.
Yeah. And I also like different things. So that's why my diversity of topics you'll find. So I also I've written about The Neighborhood. The Neighborhood is a collection of 3 Anglo-Indian short stories. That's my community. It's based in India, in Calcutta. Now, this is something like Will Eisner's Dropsy Avenue.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the inspiration.
I know.
Because that's brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. Now, I would one day love to put my work into graphic novel form. I love art. As a child, I would do a bit of art. That's Wolverine. That's just a sharply sketch. That's the Batman. That's from year 1. Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex is here. So I'd love to make a graphic novel later on. but you need time for that. Just a few of my little sketches I've done over the, not over the years, it's over a weekend actually. It doesn't take me long. It doesn't take me long. And so there are a few of my books which I'd love to put into like graphic novel form because it's much easier and palatable as well. It's like poetry, in fact, I feel, because you can put so many ideas. Like I've grown up with Marvel and DC comics, and there's so many complex ideas, brilliant ideas. In a few pages, 20 pages, it's there. I tried publishing a graphic novel on Kindle, but I couldn't upload the whole thing. It was too big, the files are too large. Coulrophobia, fear of clowns. Yeah, fear of clowns. So I did it a few months ago, in fact, and I used images. And I'd love to draw it all out myself, but then it takes a bit of extra time, and I didn't have that time.
Well, I hope you'll bring that one to Publica as well, because that's a frequently asked question is about graphic novels. It's an important form, and I certainly enjoy them, and lots of people have that same trouble you had with Amazon, and of course Publica. Please bring them on. It's something that we know that people want.
Yeah, something a little different, and it's entertaining as well when you can put so many ideas in just a few sheets of a few pages, and you get a whole idea like Imposter Assassin and Flight of Freedom. This is the boundaries of imagination. This was born out of a poem I wrote about the imagination, the limits of your imagination. How far can you take your imagination? And what are the boundaries of your imagination? So the character in this book keeps moving ahead, and he's got someone behind him who is like an assassin out to kill him, out to get him. Mm-hmm. And at the end, there is a surprise ending at the end. So travels through time. He's a time traveler. He goes to different ages of man and different periods in history, the Victorian period. Then he goes to the time of the Romans. But there's always, it's like a hypnotic travel novel. I would call it that. I think I've given away too much already. But
well, the very first book I see on Publica was A Backpacker's Guide to Europe by Nomadic Matt. So. Yeah, maybe we'll get a time travel and world travel section going.
Yeah, good.
So as a reader, meeting your books for the first time, right? I know I want to read your cryptocurrency stories. I know I want to read Silicon Blue, right? It's like, yes, I want these books. So then after I have those books, then I'm going to start looking, further, back into the author. So we normally do.
Now this, if I'll just interrupt. Draft to digital is fantastic in the sense they have at the end of their book, they have also by the author, they have a little subscription panel that comes up on your book where people can just subscribe to your work. So maybe if Publica could add a few panels like that, or have a template where people can just upload their work, paste their cover, have their document formatted into ebook form or document or as a paperback. And that would be marvelous as well if that could be done, because then you become another, like a draft to digital provider of digital copies. Just an idea.
No, thank you. We're not trying to be another anybody, right? My first blog post was called Amazon is King, Isn't It? And there's this image of a big dog, looking all king-like. And at his feet is this fierce-looking chihuahua staring right at the camera, and she means business.
Yeah,
independent. Yeah. Because I think Draft to Digital does well, but we don't need another one. But it's like, I have a Visa card, and then I got an Amex card, and I thought, why?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't remember why.
You don't need both, yeah.
Right. So is one better than the other? Maybe, but I don't remember why I did it. Yeah. So what we want to do at Publica is find the important features that matter to you, because it's your store, and then put those into the user experience.
Okay.
Because it's not our store, right?
Yeah.
This is consistent with the crypto philosophy of decentralization, and because the money goes straight to you, it doesn't even go to us.
Okay.
So but what you're describing there is a feature of the user experience, and that certainly we can do.
Would every author have their own page and a feed where they could just add their blog posts on Publica in the future? An author page, a live feed of blog posts that they publish wherever they just put the links in and it comes up there.
Yeah, especially if you tell us why that's going to help you, right? Because you have your website, and when I've talked about this before. I had a conversation with Google in the very beginning of the Publica project, where we talked about book discovery, and it's very important to Google, right? They've done a lot, trying to make books discoverable, and as well as all the world's information. And they have a problem with Amazon because Amazon won't feed them the information, obviously, for competitive reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Amazon wants you to log in there first, buy some shoes while you're buying a book, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Their agenda is just, let's try to get it all out there. And so Publica is with Google on that sense of, we want everything to be visible, and it's your store. So ultimately, I hope that people know Warren Brown from warren-brown.com.
Okay.
And then Publica is your store. And as a website, the page that you have up there now, that's there forever.
Okay.
But if you think that page about that book, if you and the readers that care about the book, and if that page can help you and them, then tell us, because that's just a web page. Of course, we can do anything on a web page.
Make it more interactive, sort of. Yeah. If there could be a forum, if there could be a chat section, just where you can send your ideas to the author, sort of thing. Yeah, then maybe that would help. Yeah, that would help for sure.
Yeah, that is one of our.
Dynamic. That makes it more dynamic. That will make the whole site dynamic. Once you get more interaction on every author's page, then the whole site of Publica as a whole will be a more dynamic page. Because I think Google likes fresh content, and that's a good way to generate fresh content.
Well, fresh and also interactive. That's actually what Google said. We're looking for interactivity, right?
Interactivity. No, that helps. Yeah.
And so the Alliance of Independent Authors at London Book Fair, they invited me on a panel with Suki Jutla, who just issued a book, Escape the Cubicle on the Blockchain, and President Orna Ross was describing this, and she said, "This is direct selling."
Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to make this into a question. Well, just what do you think of that? What Orna said. What you're doing with Publica is direct selling. Does that resonate with you? Is it too technical? Because you're an internet marketer, right?
Yeah. In what way would you call it direct selling? Because it's still on the site. It's still on the site. Like
there's a web page.
Amazon got it on their site. You have it. Publica's got it on their site. It may be on Smashwords as well. So how is it a little different?
Because the payment goes directly from the reader's wallet to your wallet. It doesn't go to us, right?
Okay.
And it goes, and the relationship is with you.
Okay.
Right. So we want people to have a relationship with Publica as what Publica is, but for the book, the relationship is with you, and that's why we've said before, anything that we learn about your fans, we want to send that to you.
Yeah. I think there's one issue. Sorry. There's one issue which just came to me. Someone wants to buy the book, but they're not into cryptocurrency and blockchains, and they have no concept whatsoever. So could they just click a buy button on the site where their currency from wherever they are around the world converts to cryptocurrency? Is that a possibility? Because I see that you have to log in, you have to get a mask on, a MetaMask or something of that kind, where then you can only buy it. And I think that's a stumbling block, because a friend could buy it. It would be easier for a friend to buy it if it's just, oh, I'll pay in £1. I'll buy it for £1. And then it gets converted to cryptocurrency, Warren, and you'll get it in your wallet. But I don't want to get a wallet. I don't need the cryptocurrency. I'm not yet into that. I'm still nervous about cryptocurrency because it's things I can't see. So Warren, I want your book. I'll buy it for £1, even £2. I don't mind. And you get your cryptocurrency into your wallet. Would that be possible?
You've almost answered it yourself. Right now, remember we were crowdfunded by people in the crypto space, right? That's who crowdfunded us. We weren't funded by Silicon Valley venture capital. Yeah. So, but yes, of course, the obstacle to people who, they want the book, but they don't, and they want it. There are a lot of benefits to having the book token in your wallet, and they want those things. But you answered it partially already by saying, if you know someone who is already happy with crypto, like I just paid my taxes, then let them buy it, because they can send it to you. Yeah. Right? That anyone can buy it and send it. And that buying and sending is actually an important part of the decentralization and making your books available. Your books now, the book Silicon Blue, it's available in the whole world. Amazon doesn't actually have a whole world button, right? They have some countries, but not the whole world. And your book is for sale now in the whole world right now for someone who either has cryptocurrency or understands it or knows where to get it, or just ask someone who does to buy it, and they can send it to you anywhere. So that's yes.
Okay. So it doesn't convert. Yeah.
But that's today, right?
Yeah, that's
and
today. Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future.
Everyone, it's an open secret. Everyone knows.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm not revealing anything here. It's only a question of when. When do we put up the credit card button on the website? Yes, of course, right. Because technically, that's not hard, right?
Yeah,
it's never been technically difficult.
It shouldn't be, not in this day and age where everything can convert to whatever you want it to be.
Exactly. Like my accountant said, it's just another currency. Let me just click on the menu and, right? And
if it's up there
I want to pay.
Yeah, if it's up there for sale, it should convert into whatever currency you want it to convert.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we wanted to make sure that we got first clear with you as the author and with your readers that this isn't another Amazon or another Draft Digital. It's still your book, but it's your store. Okay. And then just adding the credit card button is like icing on the cake. Yeah. So we'll get there. That'll be soon.
Yeah, you've answered. Thank you. Thank you.
So I have one last question for you.
Yes, Joseph.
Why did you make a movie?
Movie. Yeah. I love movies. I grew up with movies, all sorts of movies, comedies. I love comedies, and westerns and thrillers. So then I said, when I was about 5 or 6, I wanted my mom and dad to get me a projector because they had those little reels. So they spin the reel on, and then you watch your movie. That was in the 70s. So I've always been interested in movies. So I said, why not make movies? Because it seems so fantastic to be able to capture a whole scenario, a whole story on celluloid. It's brilliant. So I made a movie about my dad, his work and stuff. I made a movie, put it up on YouTube. And then I like making short films because now is the time of short films. And I like trying out different things. And that's why I do all sorts of things: poetry, art, sketching, cooking. I'm into everything. So I went into movies that way. It was just out of interest, pure interest.
Well, I do want to recommend to people to go take a look at his movie because it's not just another YouTube clip. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
And, it's really a movie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Warren. I'm so glad that you're in the first wave of book ICOs. It's not going to make you rich. I know that. But hopefully nobody writes books for that reason alone.
No, we don't. We just stopped writing long ago. It's just to express ourselves, express our ideas, get it out in the world. If you got something to say, you say it. It's out of interest,
So, Renaissance man of the internet age, I just want to say again, author, movie maker, blogger, publishing consultant, life coach, poet, internet marketer, and probably 6 other things we didn't have time to get to
Yeah,
today.
yes. Yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Thanks. Thanks for the invite. It's great talking to you.
Yeah,
Hope we chat again sometime. And thanks for
me too.
everything you told me about Publica as well. Greatly
Mhm.
appreciate all that. Yeah. Thank you.
You bet. So long, publicans.
So long. Take care. Bye, Joseph.
So that should be stop cloud recording. Yes.